Welcome back, and what we're going to do in this video is talk about function notation. So what I have written here, I have the description of some function. And so what I want to do is, if I have some input, what's going to happen is I'm going to take that input and I'm going to multiply by 2, and then I'm going to add 5 to it. So if I'm visualizing this, I'm going to have some input like this. And what I want to do to that input is, the first thing I want to do is I want to multiply it by 2. And then I would like to take all of this stuff and I'm going to add 5 to it. So if I had some algebraic notation for multiply by 2 and then add 5, it would look something like this. Now, what's cumbersome here is writing out INPUT every time I want to represent my input. So instead, what we do as mathematicians is we're going to let some letter represent our input. And it's most common for us to use the letter X. Now we could use really any letter that we want, but in Desmos they use X's for inputs. So right now, let's stick with that. So instead of writing input, what I'm going to do is I'm going to write an X. Right, so this represents my input. And what I'm doing is that input is being multiplied by 2, and then we're adding 5 to it. So another representation of this function, multiply by 2 and add 5, would be 2 times x plus 5. Right, so this is the formula. This would be a formula for the representation of my function. Now, as mathematicians, we take it one step further, and if I want to refer to this function, if I want to refer to 2 times x plus 5, I don't necessarily always want to write 2 times x plus 5, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give this function a name, and I'm going to name it f. Okay, so the name of this function is f, and I would say f is equal to 2 times x plus 5. So this function f has this formula 2x plus 5, but this isn't quite enough information for me. So what I would like to do is, if I see a bunch of symbols, I would like to know which symbol represents my variable, which am I using. And so what I do is I put little parentheses beside this f, and inside the parentheses I let the reader know what letter did I use, what letter did I choose for my input, and in this case I chose x, so I'm going to put in a little x inside of that. So our function notation, the name of my function here is f. Now I could have called it anything. Okay, so right here, this is the name of my function. Now, sometimes we choose different letters, like if I have a cost function, I might use C, or if I have an area function, I might use A. The next piece of this is we're letting the reader know, what did I choose as a variable? So this could be anything as well. So sometimes if our variable is time, we'll use T, or if our variable is cheeseburgers, we might use C, something like that. And then over here, everything that's on the other side of the equal sign is the formula for our output, right? So that gives us the description of how do we get our output, multiply by 2, and then add 5. Okay, so this is one example of how we build functions using function notation. Right, so what I'm going to do is, all right, sorry about that. We had a little hiccup with the video. So what I'm going to do is, let's scroll down here where I have an example for us. So what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to be quiet for a few seconds so you can pause the video if you want to think about this before we move on. All right. So I have this example here. So as many of you know, we have a new daughter and her name is Zoe, and so we buy diapers for her. So I think this is a appropriate example. So suppose that I want to go on Amazon and I want to buy a box of diapers, and each box of diapers that I buy costs $20, and no matter how many boxes of diapers I buy, I can ship them to my house for $5. And so what I want to do is think about our function notation, and we'll use appropriate letters and everything. to represent this function, the cost of buying diapers from Amazon, having them shipped to my house, with this information here. So if I think about this, the input that I need is how many boxes of diapers. So my input is going to be, the input is going to be the number of diapers that I'm buying. Okay, so I don't know how many boxes of diapers I'm going to buy. So it could be anything. I could buy 1 box, I could buy 10 boxes. But if I know the number of boxes that I'm going to buy, what I'm going to do is each box is going to cost me $20. So I'm going to multiply that by 20. And then for everything, it costs $5 to ship it. So there's an additional $5 shipping charge. So this is a representation of the cost of having diapers shipped to my house. Now, this is pretty cumbersome to write out, hashtag of boxes of diapers. So instead of writing all of that out, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use the letter D. So D is representing the number of boxes of diapers. Now, if I bring everything else down, what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply D by 20, and then I'm going to add 5 to it. So I have 20 times D plus 5. Well, what I would like to do is give my function a name. And, well, since it's a cost function, what I'm going to use is, let's use the letter C for the name of our function, the cost. So the cost of buying diapers, some number of boxes of diapers, is represented by 20 times D plus 5. And, well, just to help the reader along, what I'm going to do is say, well, you want to know what letter is being used for the variable, and the choice that I made was D, so I'm going to write this out here. So putting this all together, the cost function for buying diapers, I would say, is C of D. So the cost of buying some number of boxes of diapers, represented by D, is 20 times D plus 5. So I hope this was helpful, and I'll see you in the next video.